Alright guys, what's the crack? In this video I am talking about supplements. Now the big reason why this video is separate to the other two nutrition videos I've done is because I want you to look at supplements as separate to your diet or your nutrition, and this is a massive factor in long-term success. Look at supplements to supplement your diet. Don't look at them as a replacement or a way to make up for poor nutrition. So you have to get your nutrition right first. Yes, supplements will help. Yes, they will still help if you've got a poor diet. Yes, they will help if you've got a good diet. Your main focus should be getting the basics right, which is getting your nutrition right and getting it right consistently. The athlete that has proper nutrition year round is going to be far better than the athlete that has poor nutrition but supplements. So these are the supplements that I recommend for muscle gain and performance. Creatine, 5 grams a day every day. Doesn't matter what time of the day you take it. Doesn't really matter whether you're loaded or not. If you've got a lot of muscle mass, then you can take 10 grams a day. Supplement number 2 are nitrates. So you want to take in 6 to 12 milligrams of nitrate per kg of body weight per day. To make that a little bit simpler, you want to take in between 200 grams and 400 grams of rocket every single day. If you're a bigger person, take in more. If you're a smaller person, take in a little bit less. So there's two ways to go about taking in your nitrates. One is by basically taking in a bag of rocket a day. Now I don't know if any of you have had rocket before or had that much rocket before, but taking in 400 grams of rocket is actually really tough. If you blend it up into a smoothie and try and drink it down, it is actually really challenging. It's like this big thick green shake that you have to get through. So that's one way. The other way is to go to Beat It shots, right? And this is something that I do. Now this is obviously not sponsored by Beat It or anything like that, but the Beat It shots that you can get, they're so much easier to take in, and basically they're super concentrated with nitrate. It's basically beetroot juice, which is also a really good form of nitrate. So things like beetroot juice, spinach, rocket, as I mentioned, all really good forms of nitrate. If you're going down the route of buying a vegetable or some kind of a salad yourself, then actually taking rocket is your best choice. So that's why I'm recommending rocket or this beetroot juice. Now why wouldn't I just make my own beetroot juice? Well, basically the nitrate content of the beetroot is totally dependent on the soil that it's grown in and the nitrate content of that soil. Also, in the processing of the beetroot, once it's pulled out of the ground, some of the processes it goes through, adding vinegar as an example, can destroy the nitrate in the beetroot, and thus you're getting no benefit. So you don't really know with that beetroot how much nitrate is in it, whereas with rocket it's far more standardized, and then with the beetroot shots or the Beat It shots, they're very standardized. So the ones that I take are the silver, small little silver bottle ones. I just take one shot at a day. It costs, I think a shot is like €1 or €2, whereas a bag of rocket that's 200 or 400 grams is going to cost me a little bit more anyway. Next supplement is protein. Now I'm recommending whey protein. I don't take whey protein because I have an intolerance to whey protein, but use whey protein to meet your daily protein needs. Everyone here at the gym buys their whey protein from myprotein.ie, and it's a really good source of protein. Your body uses it really well. It's got loads of the right amino acids for building muscle. But again, look at it as another food. Look at it as something that's really handy, really convenient for you to hit your protein target. There might be some days where you eat nothing but whey protein. There might be some days where you eat a small bit of whey protein and chicken and beef, and there might be other days where you eat no whey protein, and that's all fine. The next one is carbohydrate intake. Now, this is the reason why the carbohydrate intake is higher in championship and maybe less lenient throughout the rest of the year. So sugars are particularly beneficial in anaerobic exercises such as weightlifting or sprinting, but they're also beneficial for endurance type training or endurance exercises. Now the kind of medium intensity stuff, which you could argue is a lot of what we do on the pitch, that stuff can be fueled with other carbohydrates throughout your day. You don't necessarily need sugars, which is why a sports drink prior to training isn't going to make the biggest difference, because your pitch training isn't actually that long, and if you've fed yourself throughout the day, you should be fine. So as a minimum, I'd recommend 4 grams per kg of body weight of carbohydrates. So if you're 80 kilos, that's 320 grams of carbohydrates per day. Now that's as a minimum. As your exercise regime gets a little tougher, or as your daily energy expenditure goes higher, you want to increase that carbohydrate in respect to how much training you're doing. In terms of the carbohydrate intake then around a championship match, you want to aim for 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour. Now a football football game is typically an hour long, so you're only talking about 30 grams or 60 grams of carbohydrates. So you could have 30 grams prior and 30 grams at halftime. So a Lucozade Sport 500 milliliter bottle has 30 grams of carbs in it. That's 30 grams of sugar. You can have that prior to the game, and then you can have one at halftime. If this is something new, remember, you don't want to introduce a new thing in around championship matches, so trial this in challenge matches, and then as long as your stomach feels comfortable with it, then you can do it in a championship match. Okay, so the first couple that I talked to there were like the really important ones. The next few are good options. Beta alanine is the first one I'm going to touch on. Beta alanine basically buffers lactic acid, which basically means that soreness or that lactic acid buildup in your muscles when you're after going for a sprint all out for a minute, it'll help reduce your sensation of that, which basically helps you produce an all-out sprint without feeling as fatigued. It's also a stimulant, so remember that if you're taking it right before bedtime, it's probably not a good idea. Be aware that it can cause this tingling sensation, so the first time you take it you might feel like pins and needles everywhere, and if you're very sensitive to that, or if that's quite strong, then reduce the amount of dosage. Next really good option is caffeine with thiamine. So caffeine makes us feel alert, it helps us cognitively, usually helps you think a little sharper, it helps with muscle power output. One of the disadvantages of taking caffeine on a regular basis is the ergonomic benefits of it, or the beneficial effects of it, are reduced. The benefits of adding thiamine in is it kind of stems the overexcitability of caffeine, so it kind of keeps you calm whilst keeping you very alert. So thiamine on its own really isn't going to help you, but when you get super pumped up with caffeine and you're like really excited and you've got loads and loads of energy, the thiamine will kind of help you stay calm and stay level so that you're not over anxious, because someone who's quite anxious leading up to a game, or someone who gets quite nervous, the caffeine can actually make that worse. Whereas couple the caffeine with the thiamine usually controls the anxiety but keeps you very alert. So caffeine intake no more than twice a week, 400 to 600 milligrams with 300 milligrams of L-thiamine. Take it about an hour before the game so that you have it in your system for your warm-up and you're ready to go. Be aware this can really affect your sleep, particularly if you're very sensitive to caffeine. It really affects my sleep when I take it. Like, this is a very common issue in professional sports as well, where players will take a lot of caffeine at a game that's late at night and then they really struggle to sleep that night. So just be aware of that, particularly if you have a game late on a Sunday and you've got work on a Monday morning. So they are basically the recommended supplements for like muscle gain and performance. In terms of fat loss, I don't recommend anything. You got to be in your calorie deficit. In terms of general health, I do take a vitamin D, a vitamin C, a multivitamin and a fish oil. I take the vitamin D because I don't get out in the sun that much, and that's probably one that you should look into as well. I take vitamin C because I have a lot of allergies and intolerances, so that's not something I recommend to people usually. I take fish oils because I don't eat any fish, so I definitely recommend fish oils if you're not having any fish in your diet. And I take a multivitamin again because my diet is quite restricted and I don't get a massive variety of different types of foods, so I want to make sure that I'm hitting all the basics and all the kind of minimum values for my vitamins and minerals. I don't recommend a multivitamin either unless you are like a student and you've got no money for fruits and vegetables, or unless you've got like a really poor diet where you don't get any fruits or vegetables or nuts or seeds, or unless you've got some kind of pre-existing condition and your diet is quite restricted. If you are taking in a multivitamin, make sure it's not a very potent one, because what can happen with vitamins is if you've taken a whole pile of vitamins, your body only needs a certain amount, so it kind of acclimatizes to all this stuff that you're taking in, and it only needs a little amount of it, so the rest of it really isn't used. But then what can happen is when you stop taking that really potent vitamin, your body's used to having so much and excess of it that when it gets very little of it from fruits and vegetables, it's not as good at extracting all those vitamins and minerals from that small amount of food that you're giving it. So as a result, it can actually lead you to poor absorption of vitamins and minerals if you go from taking a big heavy dose multivitamin tablet to doing nothing. If you're looking for any kind of supplement advice, go to examine.com, read that website. It is the best source for free information on supplements. So that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. Make sure you leave a like in the video if you liked the video, and I will see you in the next one. Slán.